DT, how long have you been coming to DEF CON?
I've been coming to DEF CON in my mind.
Wait a minute, so you're the founder of
Yes.
this. How did you, what made you decide to do this?
It was not, so here's the thing I figured out in life. All my best maneuvers were not my ideas. It's either because I'm lazy or I knew not to fuck it up. Like I just took advantage of the situation. And so DEF CON was originally a party for Hacking Bulletin Board that I belonged to as the biggest node in America, but it was run out of Canada. And they were going away. His dad had a better job. They're moving. And they wanted to throw a going away party for all the members. And they said, well, but everybody's in America, so you're going to have to help do it because they're going to be in America. Where should we do it? It's like, well, I don't know, but maybe Vegas because it's a 24-hour city. And people are going to go crazy at night if there's nothing to do. And then he disappeared. Something happened. His dad moved away, whatever. And I'm kind of left with this notion in my head of throwing a party. So I said, well, I'm kind of emotionally into it anyway. I'll just invite everybody, all the bulletin board people. And then there's this new internet thing. I'll invite everybody there. I'm pound freak, pound hack, pound security, pound blah, blah, blah. And I didn't know how many people were going to show up. I'm faxing the Secret Service. I'm faxing like 2,600.
No, you were not.
Yes, and I'm like, hey.
You were faxing.
Faxing the Secret Service in Las Vegas.
He was faxing.
And I wrote this whole thing like, hey, I'm Jeff Moss, and we're doing this hacker conference, and we'd love if you could attend. It'd be cool if you could give a talk or something. You know, no response, nothing. Now it's getting closer. I fax them again, nothing. I'm like, I better just give them a call. Right, as one does. So I call up the Secret Service, and the first person to answer, I give them this whole spiel. Hey, I'm Jeff Moss. We're doing this thing. And they're like, oh, yeah, you want to talk to the agent in charge. I'm like, okay. I do my whole spiel again. Doing this conference, and there's this, I get done with it, and there's total quiet. It's like crickets. We are aware of your activities. I'm like, oh, awesome. So you're showing up, right? And he laughs. He's like, no, we're operational. We can't show up like the thing like
your hacker party.
Right. But maybe call somebody in DC, but hey, thanks for letting us know. No problem. First year goes by. First year's over. Con's over. Guy walks up, lifts up his shirt and says, yeah, I'm Secret Service. And I'm like, we were starting a contest called Spot the Fed, and that's how Spot the Fed contest started.
You have Spot the Fed here?
Yeah, we had a Spot the Fed contest because people would do that stuff. And we're like, okay, well, this is a game now. And if we spot you, the spotter gets a shirt, and you get a shirt. And
nice.
And it created these weird perverse incentives where feds would get their Fed friends to out them so they could both get shirts. And that's when I knew, like, okay, they're pretty clever.
You got a community.
Yeah, something's going on here.
Tell me how is that not the hacker mindset, what you're totally trying to want?
Exactly. It is the craziest thing. And it just built and built and built. And I think I told the story the other day, but at one point, there's a guy I met, and he comes up after the show, and he's like, hey, man, I'm with DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency. I'm like, what are you guys doing here? Like, aren't you supposed to be spying on Russian shipments of milk or typewriters or something? Hacker conference in Las Vegas? And it's like, no. I'm just here. I'm trying to figure out if other nations are trying to recruit the hackers.
Oh.
I'm like, well, how are you going to do that? Like, there's all these one-on-one conversations. You can't get in the middle of it all. It's like, no, what I'm doing is I'm standing on the edge of the room and I'm watching for other watchers. And then I pay attention to the watchers. I'm like, oh, of course. That never happens in a James Bond movie, but that makes total sense, right? It's always more exciting in the James Bond
movie. The feds here, they're just recruiting.
Everybody, well, no, in those early days, we had organized crime was recruiting. I mean, it was just crazy. And then things grew up. .com came along. Everybody got jobs, right? Organized crime figured out their own stuff. They don't need to recruit anymore. You know, it just matured. But like, I've been around long enough to see these ridiculous cycles. And yeah, I have to give you a shout out to one of your past coworkers. Adam gave a talk called about failure. And it was perfect for this community. It was basically how I don't want to work with anybody if they can't tell me how they failed. Because in hacking, it's nonstop failure.
Yeah.
It's got to be the same for you.
Failure is always an option was written on our t-shirts.
That's right.
That's one of the things when I do the National STEM Festival, which is basically America's science fair. And one of the things that we have found that it's a really important message is, especially to girls, that failure is always an option, because you only see the success because that's what people promote. But you might have failed 36 times before you got there, and each one is a learning experience. It makes you a little bit smarter. And if you feel like you have to be perfect, and if you feel like out the gate your science project has to work, you might give up. you might get too upset. You might give up. So we have to explain to them like, no, 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 no. There's pride in that. You need to talk about your failures. And so when people ask me about, how any of my projects, I'm so happy to talk about how many times I screwed up, how many times I failed, so that you can see that that is part of the process.
You're okay talking about it. Yeah. Right. There's a reason why rocket ships blow up.
Yes.
So at some point they don't.
Exactly.
What I'd argue, no one learns from success. No one learns from success. It's always amazing to me. So I have 2 young kids. And failure is normal to them. Heck, I have been around a very long time. I still bite my cheek. It's like, failure is always an option. And what's so interesting is somewhere along, I don't know, around like young, right before they hit 10 years old, this really weird thing happens where failure is embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I think that's something unique to DEF CON is all these people, I would say most of them, are the ones who embrace failure. They're the ones who realize, failure is, this is how I learn. This is how curiosity works. This is how debugging works. I mean, just keep screwing it up. But it's like this, it's almost like the most unmagical thing that happens for a child is they go, I have to hide my failure. And you notice with, whether it's YouTube or any video, they focus on failure. MythBusters focused on failure. They didn't focus on this. Success happened the last 3 seconds of the video. It's like, cool, we succeeded. Here's how we succeeded.
It's the journey, though. A lot of people, it's for the journey.
Yeah.
I like the people that come to these kind of conventions because there's an alignment with makers and hackers and just all the people that foster curiosity.
Yeah, the tinkerers.
The community around that is always so tight, and I love seeing how people get together. They, like you said, they find their tribe, they find their people, and if there's a comfort in the likeness. And
one of the things when people try to ask me what's a hacker, it's like you could write a book. But it just distills down to me, I think it's the joy of discovery, right? It's the unexpected joy of discovery. They're not afraid of failure, right? It's community. In the early days of hacking, it was you had to find a mentor. There's no Amazon, there's no YouTube, there was no Google. So it had to be social because there was no other way to learn, right? And then it evolved into this. It's like the opposite. The people today have the opposite problem. They have access to too much information. I spent all my time pursuing information, but now information is essentially free, and so
you're drinking from a fire hose every time you want to know anything.
I have the opposite problem. It's like I can do anything. What should I do? Where before, I didn't have that choice. I could maybe pursue one thing, right?
So this is fascinating to me because you said is when I think about myself when I was young, same thing. It was IRC. It was anywhere. It was the only way I could learn anything was either doing all the work myself. But some things are fun to yourself. At the same time, like you need a community around you. You want to share those discoveries. You want to talk about them. But now information is prevalent. And what was worked as a grassroots growth, like I used DEF CON in the early days. It was, I'm going to go visit the people I already know. And now it's the opposite problem. Now I have all the knowledge, but we'll say the hacker culture has weakened or has been weakening. Where do you think DEF CON sits? I know there's DEF CON groups and things like that.
Yeah.
How do you think DEF CON plays a role in helping build some of the hacker culture back up?
I would disagree that it's diminished. I'd say it's different. And I think that's because in the early days, you could define hacking was like, I'm hacking a system, I'm hacking a network, right? Now it's, I'm hacking a pacemaker. I'm hacking an ATM machine. It's like, whatever, a smoke, a cigarette lighter, a toothbrush. It's like, okay, it's a little crazy, right? It's diffused into everything. And so that's why I think, so it draws in different people. In the early days, it was just us, right? The core passion hackers. Now you can get a job in it. Now there's money. Now it can be a profession, right? Now there's a career. They're like, well, and I liken this, it's got to have been like this. I wasn't alive, but it's got to have been like the countercultural and the music revolution. You're sitting there, Haight Ashbury, you're jamming away, everybody wants to see it. And then a record company says, hey, I want to sign you and you rock and roll in Paris tomorrow if you'd like, right? It changes things. Mm-hmm. And hacking went through that kind of in the dot-com bubble. It went from passion to being, you have to be professionally creative, not passionately creative. And so I always try to draw the distinction, at least with DEF CON, is we're a hacking conference. We're not an InfoSec conference. There's unlimited InfoSec conferences. You can hone your career. We're trying to hone your brain.
You guys are, it sounds to me like, from what I understand, this is more of a cultural conference. It's hackers getting together culturally, not necessarily getting together for.
Both. There's some stunt hacking and there's people showing off awesome exploits, but it's always been half and half. Meeting the people at the end of a keyboard. Because again, in the early days, there's no video. You didn't know what they looked like. You didn't know their gender. You knew nothing about them. You only could judge someone on what they typed. And so if they were a jackass, you'd call them a jackass, but you don't know if you're insulting like your granddad. You knew nothing about them, right? Yeah. And so I think some of that disappeared when all of a sudden there's pictures and videos and you can judge them and make fun of what they look like and all that. Like you couldn't do that. You could only make fun of what they typed, previously.
So now you can bully harder.
I mean, well, so then we have, then all of a sudden we have all the same sort of problems that everybody else has.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so that's why we have code of conduct and transparency. And my lawyer that just helped me win a defamation lawsuit against someone we kicked out.
Oh, wow.
We kicked someone out for being abusive and he sued us for defamation and we crushed him, but it took 3 years. So we're having a big celebration tonight over that. It's like, yeah, there's all that. The community building part is...
I've got a question for you because something that I'm working on is the National STEM Festival. And the whole idea for me is I'm trying to foster community nationwide of the kids who are the science fair kids in every state.
Yeah.
How are you guys encouraging the next generation of DEF CON attendees and hackers to join this community?
Yeah, we've got a program called DEF CON Next Gen, DC Next Gen, and it's for like 8 to 13, 8 to 14.
Actually, I was talking to
Bia?
Relic earlier.
Oh.
Bia and Relic. Bia runs it. And she was even saying right around like 13 to even 17. Like you can bring younger, but they go out into the con. I'm sorry, I'm so
go for it,
excited
man.
about it.
Rock it.
I'm totally like, so we talked to them, and what's so awesome is like it's gone through a couple iterations, and now I feel like it's now part of DEF CON. And I'm excited because like as the conference has grown, all of us are growing up and we're having kids and we want to show off the con. So there is content specifically for kids. And it's not like I always laugh because one of the guys helping over there is Relic, and he calls himself a relic because he's older. But the whole thing, Bia is younger. It's a kid it's teaching other kids. And it's everything from like, it's not just like, oh, here's how you break things. It's like, here's how you create things. And they go out into the rest of the conference. And the funniest story to me was the data duplication village, which seems like on the surface, the most boring thing ever. It's like, here's how data gets here's how data gets copied. And they were ripping apart hard drives. All the kids were ripping apart hard drives, looking at like how the disks are created, how ones and zeros get written. And then they left the data duplication village and they started going over to the lock picking village. You have all these kids learning how to do lock picking and using so much curiosity of going here, picturing here's how the lock works internally. But they get to go out into the conference. They have their own area, their own space. But then they also get to experience other pieces of the conference. And the most exciting one was, I think this is so unique to DEF CON, is hacking is really boring. On the surface, it can be very boring. It's someone staring at a computer, it's staring at code. Like, it's not, this is why the movie Hackers is maybe so iconic, because it brings it so visual and it's so self-aware of it.
I will tell you a story about that later, but the director, that's what they obsessed about in production. How do you make this a visual thing? And so that Hackers was one of the first movies that tried to do that. Yeah.
So with the kids' challenges, one of the ones they did was learning about ciphers and cryptography, and it was hands-on where they did it with old paper. They had this piece of glass they had to break, or not glass, plastic that broke open, and it was all paper strips which they used to decode everything from Rot 13, Caesar cipher, and it moved all the way up to real ciphers. But it was so cool seeing the kids like being able to experience hands-on and seeing that joy, seeing that excitement. It's like, oh, all of DEF CON came down to that one moment, and now it's like there's...
My whole thing is with kids like that, it's they get hooked. They either get turned off or they get hooked. And if they get hooked, it's all of a sudden their eyes pop open. They're like, oh, this is how it works. And now they see the world differently than they did just 5 seconds ago, right? And now they're like, oh, well, a lock was obviously a lock, and that kept people out, and master lock makes a lock. That makes sense. And then, boop, they pop it open, and they're like, oh, no, like the world's different.
The
lock
world
is not
different.
The lock is not the lock.
Yeah.
They want you to think the lock's the lock, but I can open the lock.
So now the lock's not the lock.
Lock's not the lock. It's something else, right? And does that work with cars? Does that work? Like, is this how the world, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like all of a sudden it can trigger this cascading thing. And whatever gets you on board, right? For me, it was like free phone calls. Wait a minute, I can just do this and it's free phone calls? Like, how does that work? But for everybody, it's a different on-ramp. And I think what you're doing is you want to create multiple on-ramps. And then hopefully they'll find their way.
I mean, when MythBusters was, we didn't realize what MythBusters was. We were just busting urban legends. We didn't realize it was going to become this
thing.
Science show, this
Yeah.
thing. And teachers started using our segments in the classrooms. And, you know, this was sort of this is an after effect. This is a ripple effect
Right.
that happened. I was so fascinated by that. I went back to my old high school, you know, and my physics teacher, who I was there on his first day, I was there on his last day, and he said he'd been using MythBusters, and he was so excited that I was visiting because he was watching me and like doing the things that he had taught me.
Yes, yes.
And it just, I had this aha moment of the power of video and how video, like, you know, kids all show out and they're noisy and whatever, but the minute you turn on a video, they are quiet and they're paying attention.
Yeah.
So if we could use these bite-sized videos as an educational tool, it became more important. So that became my new passion after MythBusters, is trying to figure out how do we take this digital element and that they use in the classroom, and how do I harness that so it continues on and we can inspire them to do everything from understanding global citizenry to anti-bullying to math and algebra. You know, they can learn algebra. So I started working with a platform that does bite-sized video with curriculum. Now,
Super talk.
in the sort of the fail fast and pivot mode of trying to create this learning platform, I was asked to host South by Southwest, the EDU section. So we did a live conference where I was interviewing people, and I had the honor of interviewing all kinds of interesting people, from Dan Rather to Miguel Cardona, who was the Secretary of Education. Now, when I knew he was coming on, I was like, okay, this is my chance. Back during the Obama days, I hosted the White House Science Fair with Bill Nye. And that went away with the next administration. And I was so sad because I loved the science fair. And what I loved is, like you said, that aha moment where a kid sees themselves and they see themselves in STEM and they see themselves in this journey. And all of a sudden their life has changed, because all of a sudden they're like, I'm a scientist, I'm an engineer, I'm a mathematician. And I always wanted the science fair to come back. So I had Miguel Cardona in my grasp and I made him promise on air. I'm like, dude, where's the science fair? Bring back the science fair. And he kept going, yeah, we're going to do it. I stalked him
for
like a year. And he came back to South by Southwest. I'm like, dude, I thought you said you're going to bring back the science fair. And he's like, yeah, it's just really hard. Like, I've got, you know, the department turns out. I'm like, okay, listen, right now, right here, you give me the keys, I will build you this kingdom. I'm bringing back the science fair. And he's like, okay. So I started building the National STEM Festival. Are strategically aligned with the government. And right now we are doing a contest for kids all across the nation, hopefully some of the cybersecurity kids, so that we can build this community of kids. That this is a long story to get to the point, but this is my life's mission and passion, is the community of this. Because kids from all over who are the science fair kids, maybe in their hometowns, they're, you know, they are often not the kids that are on the football team and the popular kids. They come to the conference, they find their tribe. And it is my dream that a kid from the Mariana Islands meets a kid from Kansas, meets a kid from the Bronx. They meet each other, they have this lifetime community, and they cure cancer. They solve the plastics problem. Maybe by finding this small community and connecting all of these brilliant kids who have a passion for STEM that now see themselves in STEM. That could be our future.
It absolutely works at DEF CON, right? I mean, you listen to the people starting, I don't know, DEF CON 3 or 4, they said, wow, you get me, I found my people, I found my tribe, I found my community, whatever you want to call it. And they're like, I thought I was a weirdo in my hometown because there's nobody for me to talk to. There's maybe one other guy in the high school. And then I come here and they're all over. And they feel totally normalized, they feel totally validated, and then now all of a sudden, whatever that weight was is lifted, and it almost like removes a blocker, and now they're free to just go do, you know what I mean? They're like, it's almost like we didn't need to give them permission or agency, but for some reason, once they found it, Like it unlocked their superpower, right? And so,
You just had to throw a party.
yeah, it's so crazy. Power of community.
The first day of STEM Festival, the kids, they're not talking to each other. They're all walking around
Yeah.
as strangers. By the last day, I cry at every closing party. Like I'm crying thinking about
Yeah.
it right now. That they're all jumping up and down, singing Taylor Swift or whatever the
Yeah.
TikTok song is right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
hugging each other. And I'm looking around, and every single one of these kids, this is the entire
Well, and in the
nation all
past,
together in one room.
that would have been the end of it. But now with connectivity,
stay
they can
friends.
keep these relationships going.
That's
That's what's super cool.
That's how me and Gowrie hooked up. It was during a contest, and then we are best friends through this conference. We live on other sides of the country. We podcast together. DEF CON, our year revolves around DEF CON. I don't have a January 1st. I have a DEF CON.
Right.
In my year, we go and then we start talking about DEF CON. What's coming up? What new challenges are there? What new communities are there? Like,
You guys, right here, we just solved world peace.
we
It's
did.
community.
It's community.
Right.
Community.
Who would have thought?
God.
Right. Yeah, you need a little empathy in there, a little community, a little technology, but
The world can be a better place.
it is
through
crazy.
conference.
And I always tell people it's a blend of there's the technical and there's the social, and if it comes out of balance, it doesn't work. There has to be social, there has to be the reason, right? And when you try to do 100% party, it doesn't work. 100% technical, no. So you're going to find STEM's going to be the same way, right? You're going to find what works with your community. Yeah. So we find the people with contests that want to show off. There's some people that they're genetically hyper competitive and they need a way to scratch that itch. There's other people like, I don't want to compete. That's not my thing. I just want to be I just want to be a contributor. I just want to be on the team, right? And and you give people enough different ways, they find their way, and you don't present them there is one way to be a hacker.
Yeah.
There has to be many ways, and they're all valid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the diversity of the content at DEF CON truly is remarkable, because we go from tribe to tribe going, oh, well, there's wireless and this and that, but then there's communities from the geolocations, the DEF CON group communities. We're the hackers of Denver, we're the hackers of Florida, which get together, which continue on these mini conferences.
This is tonight's the Latin America hacker party.
Yeah.
Like that's a new thing. Like
You've got people from all over the world coming here.
yeah, super crazy.
Wow. Look what you did. Look what you did.
Nah, but I tell people it's almost 700 goons make it happen, almost 1,700 creators. So there's like 500 of us to pull this off.
Yeah.
And so you're like the conductor of the runaway train. Like you can point it in a direction and then it goes. And the closer you get to the event, the less control you have. And at some point you have to be able to let go.
See, the one thing I'll say is, DT, and again, I'm gonna gush for a minute, but like, it's awesome seeing you walk through the hallway, because it's not, I'm a man on a mission, I need to go from here to here. It is your love for the conference. It's infectious. It's not just like okay, I need to do this, I need to do this. It's like everyone comes up to you and you give them all the time in the world to talk about the conference, say what it means to them. Like, it's changed my life. It's always amazing to me how many people will say, DEF CON changed my life. Hearing Jason Street's stories, DEF CON changed my life. It changed the trajectory of my life. It's not a conference. Like, it is, like, we always say, it's a lifestyle conference. It's
Kind
not
of.
a
Full
technical
circle.
conference.
He enjoys the journey.
Yeah. So you'll get the same, or if you haven't already, right? It's the same. It's MythBusters, but different, right? You're changing people's lives. And the weird thing is, you don't know how you're changing their lives. And the first time it dawned on me, I also started another conference called Black Hat, more professional.
I was there yesterday.
Yeah. Right. You're a black. Right. So I started that a long time ago. And anyway, I think I'm like going up an escalator and somebody's coming down an escalator. And this guy's like, that guy got me a job, my first job. That guy's awesome. And I'm like, I don't even know you. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And then it realized, like, people were getting jobs because they were speaking at the show. It was like a barrier to entry. It was a quality filter. It was a thing.
That ripple effect.
And yeah, and then though, it gets scary because now you're validating other people. So you're platforming other people. So now you got to figure out, is that somebody I want to put on a stage?
Oh, yeah.
Do I want that person to be an example for the community? Right? And then you're like, oh no.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. Like, who would you want to interview? Who do you want to put on a screen? Right?
Well, thank you for that advice. I just started a podcast.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh,
Just
man.
make sure you Google your guests before you put them on.
Right now, I'm just interviewing my friends. So it's all right.
Guys, thank you so much. Like, this has been an awesome conversation. Thank you for taking the time. It's been fun. Well, I will have a parting shot. What do you think of DEF CON?
So far, I have met the coolest people. I love the people here. Everybody's been so nice. You know, hackers get kind of in the general public, they seem sort of scary. I walked in here, I'm like, oh, these are my people. These are all the cool kids.
This is awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great seeing you.
Thank you, forever's watching.
Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
In Hack On.